The LeMay, America's Car Museum, is the world's largest private automotive museum in Tacoma, Washington. Many think of it as the Smithsonian of the automobile, as it's really dedicated to preserving America's history and love affair with the car. It was founded to save the collection of Harold LeMay, which at one time was over 3,000 automobiles. We set out to build America's Car Museum around that word of celebration. And so in this museum, there are racing simulators and cars that you can jump in and out of to get your photograph, and there's slot cars, and there's a movie theater, and more than that, there's a show field. It's framed on 4 stories with a road working its way for almost a half a mile around, tying the 4 levels of this museum together and providing endless opportunities for experiences and exhibitions of all kinds. I knew that from a little place in Tacoma, Washington, to achieve a world-class museum, we need a lot of help. And we needed people of stature and means and ambition and dedication who would commit to the cause. And when I learned about Nicola Bulgari and his passion, I realized he was exactly the type person that could help me get this project done. His passion for decades has been the preservation of America's automobiles and America's automotive heritage. He has restored countless cars that are cars of the everyday American experience. And in his collection today and on display here, you see the names Hudson and Nash and Buick and Studebaker and Plymouth.
A lot of cars here I like. I love this Buick right here. This is a very clean design, 1961 Buick. I mean, it really is, something that looks like an American car. If you took a person who knew nothing about automobiles, you say, where do you think this car is from? They're not going to say Yugoslavia. That looks like an American car. It has the confidence, it's big, it's brass. It really reflects what America was in 1961.
Nicola Bulgari was born in Rome and remembers the occupation of the Nazis and the control by the fascists and how America saved Italy. And he fell in love with American culture then, and he fell in love with America's cars then. So when I learned of Nicola and approached him with the vision for America's Car Museum, he embraced it wholeheartedly, said it was his life's dream. He'd been collecting American automobiles for a long time, and he would do anything in his power to help us build America's Car Museum, and he has.
It's a celebration of the automobile industry of this country that lately has been forgotten by looking too much elsewhere. And I think this country's back doing some marvelous cars.
It dawned on me that having an award in Nicola's name to be given annually to an outstanding individual promoting America's automotive heritage would be a good thing for us to do. At our grand opening, we presented the first Nicola Bulgari Award for outstanding achievement in preserving America's automotive heritage and saving America's cars, and gave that to a very close personal friend of his and ours, Ed Welburn, the first ever vice president worldwide for design for General Motors. And the reason he selected Ed was that Ed really played a principal role in the revitalization of Cadillac and Buick and the turnaround of General Motors.
Well, thank you, and I feel so honored to be the first recipient of this Nicola Bulgari Award. As I stand here this morning and as I was sitting here listening to the other speakers, I was looking at the magnificent shapes and form development of this incredible museum. And I couldn't help but think about the men and women who have shaped and formed and sculpted the bodies of the automobile for more than 100 years of its history. And I see that in the shapes of this building.
America's Car Museum opened in June of this year with almost 10,000 people in attendance. I handed the keys to Nancy LeMay to open the museum, and a host of fabulous activities We had a party, a grand opening celebration with 1,100 people partying throughout this museum. The next day we had a great car show here with individuals bringing their own cars and thousands of people in attendance. Without people like Nicola Bulgari being willing to give their name and put their effort behind it, this museum never would have happened. And there are others from across the country who've been involved, but it was truly meaningful to me to develop a friendship with Nicola and to get his support.
But you will get a recognition, I hope, of the entire country and eventually the rest of the world, because there isn't another museum like this anywhere I know. And especially the fact that you have accomplished this, not in New York, not in Chicago, not in Detroit, not in Pennsylvania, not in Los Angeles, but in Tacoma. This should be not an attraction. It should be a motivation for every American who still loves the American automobile. Come here to see what history this country has, what automotive history, second to nothing.
When one visits America's Car Museum for the first time, I typically hear the word, wow, and they leave with smiles on their faces because you just can't be here without having a great time.